Bill O'Reilly is going to rant about how he thinks Obama is weak on terror. There are so many parts of this I enjoy. Let's watch.
Talking Points believes Mr. Obama does not want to engage the war on terror in general. Yes, he'll order drone strikes and some special forces activity. But he does not want the USA to launch major offenses against terror groups. Therefore, the president looks away, hoping that a situation like ISIS in Syria will go away. And now, President Obama is paying a price for his passive approach to the jihad, as the beheadings of 2 Americans by the ISIS savages has awakened the public in America. The anti-terror situation overall is bleak. For decades, Pakistan has undermined Afghanistan and America by harboring the Taliban. We all know that. President Obama even knows it. For decades, Iran has funded Hezbollah and trained a variety of Shia terrorists on Iranian soil. President Obama, well aware. The al-Qaeda leader, al-Zawahiri, still at large. Where is he? Some country is harboring him. But again, the pro-terrorist nations around the world don't fear the United States. I mean, what did we do to Pakistan when they harbored bin Laden all those years? Nothing. And when the Pakistanis imprisoned the man who helped bring bin Laden down, Dr. Shakil Afridi, President Obama again did nothing. The doctor still languishes in prison to this day. So Mr. Obama's resume on terrorism is about as weak as you can get. Or am I wrong?
Yes, you're wrong. You can't call the guy who got Osama bin Laden public enemy #1, he did 9/11, you can't call that guy weak on terror. He doesn't mention that at all in his entire speech. It goes on for much longer than that. He never mentions that Obama got bin Laden. I think you're missing a key fact in the discussion, don't you, Bill? Now, stop and think about it if Bush had gotten bin Laden. Is there any imaginable circumstance where Bill O'Reilly would make the same argument for Bush? Well, guys, I know that he got bin Laden, okay? I know that he got revenge for what happened on 9/11, but weak on terror, that's what Bush is. If Bush got bin Laden, Bill O'Reilly would say he is the strongest president on terror in American history. That may be literally true. We have no way of knowing. I don't have a crystal ball, and we can't flip the scenarios, but I can easily see that happen, and I'm sure you can too. So it's just a silly argument. Now, here's my question to Bill O'Reilly. What would Obama have to do for you to consider him strong on terror? Because stop and think about what we are doing. We're fighting wars now in Syria, Iraq. We're doing drone wars in Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia. And we're still doing a ground war in Afghanistan. In fact, this is a little-known fact, but President Obama, his entire time in office, he increased the war in Afghanistan. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember, but in like 2009, 2010, Rachel Maddow used to do segments about this where she slammed Obama because she looked at the troop numbers and they were massively increased under President Obama. Bush had drawn them down a little bit. Obama came in and increased it tremendously. So what else would he have to do, Bill? We're involved in minimum 6 countries. That's not including the 900 U.S. military bases we have all over the world. That's not including the fact that the United States military is literally the biggest employer in the world. That doesn't include the fact that 57% of discretionary spending goes towards military spending. So what would he have to do? But Bill O'Reilly gave you a hint there, because in the middle of his rant he said, well, Pakistan harbors the Taliban, and what have we done against them? Nothing. Iran harbors Hezbollah. What have we done against them? Nothing. Okay, so you want to start a war with Pakistan and start a war with Iran right now. But, Bill, do you realize how that makes absolutely no sense? Because there is no immediate threat to the United States coming from Pakistan. There is no immediate threat to the United States coming from Hezbollah. In fact, did you know that Shiite militia and Hezbollah from Iran are currently fighting ISIS? See, this is the problem with the people like Bill O'Reilly. It doesn't matter what the question is. The answer is war. It was just a year ago or a year and a half ago that Bill O'Reilly was out on his program ranting about how we need to go in and bomb the shit out of Bashar Assad and topple the government in Syria. Then a year and a half later, he totally switches his position, doesn't mention Assad anymore, and says now we need to fight ISIS, who are the people that O'Reilly wanted to go in and help a year and a half ago. He switched the sides he wanted to attack in Syria within a year's time frame. So what does that show you? It shows you his commitment is to war and war alone. And unless and until you start wars with every single Middle Eastern country and you send mercenary armies to do it, well, then you're just a weak pussy. God, the guy doesn't understand anything about history. The guy doesn't understand anything about the fact that you're creating more enemies for the United States of America when you act the way that we act overseas like this. You know what the really funny part about this is? Bill O'Reilly may be right by accident that Obama's weak on terror. But the reason why Obama's weak on terror is because he's continuing all of George W. Bush's policies. Real strength on the issue of terrorism is to mind our business, bring our troops home, and do actual national defense. That takes strength. To look at shit happening overseas, Sunnis and Shiites slaughtering each other, and we go, not our business. Go right ahead and do that. Okay, and sure, every once in a while, if you need to do a limited drone operation, for example, for a purely humanitarian mission like the Yazidis on the mountaintop, and you get approval from the UN and NATO and Congress, well, in that case, sure, you can do something like that. That's a foreign policy that's actually based on strength. A foreign policy that's based on strength is a foreign policy that's smart enough to understand that there are political solutions and then we need to mind our business. Like, for example, you break up Iraq. Give the Sunnis their portion, the Shiites their portion, the Kurds their portion. You step back, and then what's going to happen? The Sunni Baathists, who are the secular former Saddam loyalist Sunnis, are going to turn on ISIS, and they're going to fight each other. So you would be putting ISIS in a situation where they have to fight Assad in Syria, some factions of the FSA in Syria, some Iranian Shiites, and Sunni Baathists, and then it would be the perfect storm to crush ISIS. That's a foreign policy right there that's not weak. It's not weak because you're using your fucking mind and you're saying, I don't want any young American men and women from Alabama and Kentucky to die for the Kurdish Peshmerga. Okay? See, it's not always the strong thing to do, to go in with your fucking dick swinging all over the place, macho man. Oh, yeah, whatever, just shoot everything up, bomb everything, bro. That's how we act. No, you know what that is? That's stupid. That's what that is. That's dumb. That's moronic.